Well, the email I'm getting a lot right now is a rumor going around for something in Pokemon in January. Personally, I don't freaking care about it, but we're gonna cover it in this. It comes in from a mix between our two favorite human beings. There's two things. The first one is kind of interesting. It goes like this. It's about someone on Weibo, Chinese social media platform, that predicted everything in the most recent Nintendo Direct. It was apparently something the East was all over, but us in the West too stupid. Which I guess maybe. And now they claim the dude is back, and he's revealed even more predictions. Really just two. The first is that the Nintendo Switch 2, the Pro, or as the internal Game Freak documents called the Ounce, is getting a reveal in January for a March launch. And according to Ku, we're gonna get the first Legends EA information in January. So the Ounce announcement in January, along with the start of Legends EA's hype season. And then a March launch, which coincides pretty closely to Ku saying the release date would be between April and July. That's kind of a console supported release. And here's the Weibo. What does this say? You're not in China, we know? There's no need to really look at the photos, but first image. First line says that in January, it's getting its announcement. In March, it's officially released. All the other lines just talking about how prepared they are to ship them out. Don't gotta focus on it. Second post is all the things he predicted in the last Nintendo Direct. So this is June 18. So here's the Nintendo Direct from June 2024. It included the reveal of the new Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, Metroid, Dragon Quest news, and the new Mario and Luigi Brothership game. So let's see what Leaker Boy said. Oh, he predicted the 2D Zelda game. Here's Samus. Here's the Dragon Quest prediction. You get the point. I couldn't care too much, honestly, because we know the new Switch is coming. We don't really need leaks that tell us, hey, this is the specific date it's coming. Just wait, it's gonna come. But then there's one more leak that showed up with interesting timing. It doesn't seem to be from the same dude from the Chinese social media, but it's this dude, Ninpagos. It's from last Friday. And that's the reason this is even floating around in the first place, because he's referencing something that Ku only tweets 2 days later on Sunday. So if this man predates the almighty Ku, right, who's never been wrong, it gives the impression this dude really does have a source. He says, hello, I have some information coming from a source that has been correct about every information since 2020. They leaked the Switch OLED model, Mario and Luigi Brothership, and other stuff from Nintendo Direct. Here's some information regarding Ounce. Ounce will be announced in January of 2025 and released in March. And then, Pokemon Home will be on Ounce, but it will have a different host and developer. So, this is like Pokebank when it came out. Well, actually, before even Pokebank, when the Ruby and Sapphire box came out in like 2003. Remember this crap? It was for the Nintendo GameCube and you could deposit your Ruby or Sapphire Pokemon into it. The game had a host, some girl called Bridget. Over 10 years later, the successor to this was the Pokemon Bank in 2013, a bit after X and Y comes out. It could connect with the Unova games as well as a bunch of virtual console games for the Nintendo 3DS and get all your Pokemon in one place. This one was also hosted by Bridget. She just freaking came back. So you know how clever Pokemon, well, Bridget is back. Also around this time was another app called the Pokemon Dreamcatcher. This one didn't have to do with storing your Pokemon, but it was an AR app, which is what you use to eventually get the Therian forms for the forces of nature. And this one was hosted by Burnett back in 2012. This would be the same Burnett that 4 years later is in the Alola region in a main series game, Alola. Anyhow, back to Pokemon Bank. 7 years later in 2020, Pokemon Bank is succeeded by the big Pokemon Home, who has a brand new host. It's freaking Grand Oak, who, yeah, he went nowhere anyway. I don't even know who he is. I'm just gonna assume he's like the grandpa of Oak and Samson Oak, which puts him at like, what, 8,000 years old? And yeah, now we get to where we started. Okay, so this post, Pokemon Home now is gonna be on Ounce again, but with a different host and developer instead of Grand Oak that was in the Switch version, which is kind of interesting. One, they're implying it's not a successor to Pokemon Home called something else. It might just be called Pokemon Home again, but it'll be an updated version where you have like an adjacent host who replaces Grand Oak, maybe his friend. Well, more on that in a second. About who the host is gonna be, they've actually added some code for us to decipher. If you decipher the code, you get a certain bit of dialogue. Dialogue that says, I love your style of Pokemon battling. Somehow your Pokemon look like they're having so much fun. And if you put that into Google, you notice it's something Bianca says. It's something she says while she's hanging out in the professor's lab after you've beaten the champion and all. So, what is he implying here? That the host of the new Pokemon home is Bianca, boys. Aren't you so excited? I cried when I found out. What, Masuda? You're hoping it makes up for no Unova? Boys, Pokemon home? Take their mask off. It's Black 3 and White 3. I got a bone to pick with this leaker, which is his choice of pulling a coup. You see, in his dialogue, in his little leak here, he decides to do what Coup does and show that he knows information about what's going on by speaking of stuff that was in the leaks, like codename Gaia. But look even closer at what's being said here, and it says, once you decipher the code, you'll see who the host of this new Pokemon home will be, and it will be a hint to the next Pokemon main series games after Gaia and its DLCs. Oh. So you're telling me the game that's gonna come out in 2027 or 2028 at this current rate is we're going back to Unova. And you dumbass insider think you know this 4 years in advance. At this point, this is just gonna be Coup in disguise again. I knew, guys. Guys, do you want to see more hints? Guys, I still haven't got my answer. Should I upload a video today? Now, ignore his confidence in saying it will be a hint. I don't think they know that at all. They're just assuming. The same way Burnett came true 4 years later. But on the contrary, Grand Oak didn't come true and it's been 4 years. So we have a host that became something in the main games, a host that didn't. It's 50-50, who cares? But speaking of Coup, that's the end of the leaks. But Coup actually predates the leak we see here. I'll go through Cou's mess of a life to see if I can find it. Okay, so I found it. In natural Coup fashion, he speaks in riddles and rhymes and codes that fill you with joy. His code name for this new Pokemon home is the Visa. Like, well, you want to come to Canada? Just say it. You don't want to come here. Okay, so, yup. A new all-getting visa thing is on its way. You kiss me again? That does it. Kiss me again, see what happens. We'll just do this. So he says, anyhow, a new all-getting visa thing is on the way. An all-getting Pokemon home-like application is on the way. You gotta love that visa talk. You gotta love the 227, the puppy, and the come to Canada visa. He says more about the visa. He says, you will also know something about the visa stuff on 22725, yeah, that code we love, on Pokemon Day. So now we can exit all our Coup tabs. Of course, Central reports it in this giant extrapolation, but you know the gist. So the idea, if we line up Coup with this random dude, just that popped up recently, is some kind of successor to Pokemon Homecoming. It would be worth it to just call it Pokemon Home again and have it somehow backwards compatible with the Switch's Pokemon Home. And how difficult is it to put everything under one umbrella and still update the Switch's Pokemon Home after Legends EA comes out for those 10 or 20 new Pokemon and forms? Well, we're done. Aren't you glad you caught up to that and got kissed by Coup? Can't live the rest of your life normal now. You're gonna close this tab, but it ain't gonna be gone. All right.